Well, it was that close, but unfortunately, that close doesn't count in handicapping or gambling, and that was the case last night with the free play on the Detroit Pistons. Any of you that bet the Pistons last night, oh, I'll tell you, a win is a win, a loss is a loss. There is no in between, but that doesn't mean some losses don't hurt more than others. And if you had the New York Knicks last night, you should be going and saying some extra prayers today because you won in miraculous fashion with that half point cover. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here, General Manager at DeMarcoSports.com, and this is going to be your Friday video report. I am not going to give up in the NBA. I have an NBA free selection coming your way here on the Timberwolves and Lakers. Now, for me personally, last night, I lost. I was going for raise the bar 20-dime winner, number 6 out of 8, on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who I had taken in games 1 and 2. Sometimes you may be able to win even when you do lose. That was the case for me last night because when Oklahoma City fell down by 29 points, I'm thinking I'm screwed. Not just because I had a 29 play on Oklahoma City last night, but because I also, if you recall, if you happen to be a customer over at DeMarcoSports.com, I also had a 10-dime play on the Thunder to sweep the series in 4 games. And that price range, personally, it was 145 plus 145, but it was all the way up to plus 155, depending on when and where you bet the Thunder if you took my advice. So having the Thunder come back in miraculous fashion to win the game straight up, yes, they didn't cover, but now I'm just 1 game away from getting that nice underdog series play winner. I can tell you right now, game number 4, I'm probably going to take a pass because it's almost like double dipping. I mean, all I need the Thunder is to win the game. Why do I want to give back some of the profits if they happen to win and not cover? It just doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's a story for another day. In terms of the complimentary plays here, yeah, they've been kind of good. Okay, I lost last night, but they've still been kind of good. And 47 and 19 roll with my last 66 dating back to October in all sports combined. And 27 and 11 with the last 38, despite the loser on the Pistons last night. I'm going to get to your play here in a minute. First, a couple quick things business-wise. As I mentioned yesterday, I am going to try to do these reports daily when I have plays to give you right through the NBA Finals, which will be interesting because the NBA Finals start on the same day when I leave for Europe for like 4 weeks. So, yeah, that'll be an interesting day when I figure out how to do that. But that's another day and another story, too. However, they are going to be available at different times of the day based on how quickly I can get here to do the reports and handicap all the games and run the sites. It's a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. So again, the wisest thing to do would be subscribe to the channel because then you will get an alert that when the video is live. Now, before I get to your complimentary play, I just want to bring something up. I've had an interesting career, an interesting life. Sometimes, I've got some interesting stories, as many of you have pointed out. Here's one for you. The other night, you may have heard Shaq, who I don't know why Shaq is on TV. I don't think he brings anything to the show. He mumbles all the time, as far as I'm concerned. And his points are, I don't know, meaningless. Oh, he played well. Really? He played well. That's the best you can do? You're a Hall of Famer. He played well. I don't know. I think he's a waste of my time. The other guys, Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Ernie. I mean, it's a fun show to watch. I just think Shaq drags it down. But the other night he said that somebody brought up Billy Ray Bates. Now, if you're not familiar with Billy Ray Bates, I'm not going to sit here and give you the whole Wikipedia rundown, but 1980, 1981, I mean, in the NBA postseason with the Portland Trailblazers when Jack Ramsey, who the antithesis of Billy Ray Bates when it came to coaching that type of player. He basically gave free rein to Bates, and Bates was just a phenom in the postseason. And he flamed out within a couple of years. And Shaq happened to say he thought he was dead. Yeah, well, Billy Ray hasn't died. Shaq's memory and his intelligence and any brain cells he may have had may have been gone long ago, but the guy is still alive. So here's the story. I used to work many years ago when I first started in this business with a guy by the name of Don Leventhal. And Don was basically the Mel Kiper of NBA draft gurus long before anybody paid attention to those type of things on ESPN, et cetera. For 14 years, he did the NBA draft report. He supplied the injuries to the USA Today. Um, he um, he had contacts from scouts and coaches, not only in the league, but he would put together his draft report. He'd have a whole international section because he was so connected with foreign teams, whether it be in Czechoslovakia or the Philippines or Switzerland or Mexico. This guy knew it all. And he'd sit there next to me. We used to work in these little booths side by side. And he'd sit there in between doing our daily sports reports. I was working for Dial Sports at the time. That's another story. But Don would be typing away and doing on this 8.5 by 14 sheets manual. This was the days before the internet, the days before really computers were even out there. And he would sell, I think, his NBA draft report for like $109 or $129. And he had a massive subscriber base, not only of media members, but NBA junkies who, again, you couldn't get this information anywhere else. So one day we're taking a break for lunch, and Don said he had to go someplace, and he comes on by, and he has this big guy, and they're out shooting hoops because we actually worked in the basement office of a house which was converted and had a big driveway and had a basketball room there. Nobody ever played. And I go on out, and we're looking at this guy, and he's dunking. I'm 5'9". Anybody can dunk on me, but he's dunking. He's doing 360s. He's shooting threes. He's all over. And Don says, he brings him over, and it's Billy Ray Bates. Because Don had been aware of him before he made his debut with the Trailblazers. And, Billy Ray had some issues with substance abuse. I believe Don and his agent at the time, the player's agent, got him into the Meadows. It didn't work. I think he bounced out of that a few times. But so when Shaq was saying that, I was thinking about that, about how this industry has changed, how Don was at the forefront of this industry doing those type of things all those years ago. And interesting, I lost track of him when I had a football tip sheet. The first year, I actually hired him to do the NFL analysis. I did all the college games before eventually doing the whole thing myself because I just felt that it was more my word out there than somebody else's opinion. So I lost track of Don for a while. And then October of 97, saw a news story that they pulled a body um, from the Delaware River because Don Leventhal, 44 years old, September 29th, parked his car on the New Jersey side of the Ben Franklin Bridge uh, and walked over the bridge, left his wallet on the pedestrian walkway, and jumped to his death at the age of 44. So when I'm hearing about Billy Ray Bates the other night, just kind of funny how, the past can come up and remind you of the good and the bad times wherever he is. Hope he is resting in peace because he was a good guy. Okay, let's get to your complimentary play. I'm going to go with the Timberwolves tonight, minus the 3.5 points against the Lakers. The one thing the Lakers' victory in game number 2 did was suppress this line because if Minnesota, which everybody thought the T-Wolves would win that game, had won it, Minnesota would be easily laying 5.5, maybe even 6 points tonight. Because if the Lakers played like they did in game number 1 and the T-Wolves did correspondingly as well, game number 2 would have been a blowout. But that wasn't how it was. Because in game number 2, everything that went right for the T-Wolves in the series opener went wrong. They didn't even play the same way. Outscored again, slow start, just like in the first game. First quarter in the first game, they were down by 7. This time they were down 34-15 because the Lakers came out fired up. Whether it was J.J. Redick cursing them out or just playing for pride, they came out fired up, and it showed. And the difference in the defense for Minnesota in that game, in game number 1, it was like Luka can do his thing. He can get his 38 points, but everybody else would stand around and not really contribute. In this game, Luka was magnificent, 31 points, but 12 rebounds and 9 assists, and everybody was getting involved. I think the problems for Minnesota in game number 2, and I discussed it here on the board with somebody who wrote in a couple of days ago. You look in the opener where they launched 45 threes and hit 31 of them. That is their style of play. In game number 2, 25 threes. Game number 1, 29 assists. They had great ball movement. Game number 2, 14 assists. Mike Conley was missing in action in game number 2. 21 scoreless minutes, over 5 from the field. They put Dante DiVincenzo in. He picked up a couple of early fouls. I think he's going to see a lot more action tonight, as will Walker for them. And the other key is that Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels, who combined for 48 points on 19 to 25 shooting in game number one, which probably was an anomaly. They just couldn't get it going offensively, especially Reed, who picked up 3 fouls in the first 8 minutes of that game. So, I look at Minnesota coming back here tonight. The Lakers are 19 and 22 straight up in regular season road games. Now, let's forget about the regular season finale when all their starters pretty much rested, because this record applies to this stat. They were 6 and 8 straight up on the road with Luka in the lineup. So there you go. Again, I think that Minnesota is a cheap price, and the key here tonight, is Anthony Edwards. How healthy is he? He got slammed in the shoulder when Jackson Hayes threw a pick and ran right into him. You could see him constantly working that shoulder. It looked like he was agony and pain throughout the game. They're going to need a big game from him tonight. But more importantly, they're going to need the guys like Reed and McDaniel to contribute, and they've got to get something out of the point guard position. So I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to go with Minnesota. It's my second favorite play on the board. I came this close to making it a 29 release. That's your play. The other games, oh, hell, don't ask me about the Bucks and Pacers. I have no effing clue. And the Magic and the Celtics, yeah, I have less of an opinion on that game than I even do on the Bucks and Pacers. So there you go. Best of luck, guys, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.